I'd like to call to order this March 15th, 2021 EA Drainage District meeting. Welcome everybody. First drainage meeting in person in a while. Chairman Lambert had some work obligations and is absent today, along with Mr. Turner, Miss Liz. All right, did roll call. We're gonna ask Mr. Cagnolati to lead us in invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings on our gathering here tonight as we do the business of the citizens of Ascension Parish with regards to drainage. Help us and guide us in all of our actions tonight, and may your Holy Spirit be with us at all times, for we place our lives in your hands, always and forever, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on. Chair does not have any, public comments. Anyone who wishes to speak on any of our agenda items, please fill out a card, give it to Miss Liz right here, and she'll make sure it gets up to us. Let's see. Moving on to item number 4, acceptance of our minutes from February 8th, 2021.
Motion. Second.
Motion second. Any objection? So moved. Chairman's reports announcement. So I would just like to briefly touch last week. Myself and 4 of the council members who were able to make it, along with 5 people, including parish president and 4 of his staff members. We're very fortunate to spend 48 hours with Harris County Flood Control District last week, where we just learned an abundance of things. It was a trip that went above and beyond what I expected myself, and I believe everybody feels that way. You know, their county, their land mass, they're only about 6 times bigger, but have about 40 times the people. So they have the same elevation, flash flooding issues that we had, and they're doing some unbelievable modern cutting edge stuff. They're combining recreation and detention next to bayous and canals, something that we could really, learn from, and I think we're all excited to start exploring that option moving forward. So I just want to touch on that. I'm gonna try to put together a short little presentation for next month at our April meeting for some of the things that we learned. But I just want to touch and thank everybody who has come, and I knew it was a last minute trip. I wish all commissioners and council members could have made it, but I know I kind of popped it up on you last minute with only a few weeks' notice. It's hard to do, but that is something that I would like to make a annual or maybe even biannual type deal for us to go see other municipalities and see what they learned that we haven't learned and move forward. So I just want to mention that. Thank everybody, and Ms. Liz, Mr. Turner is now present. Okay, we will move on to our drainage report. Parish President.
I'll go ahead and take that, Chase. Appreciate it. Good afternoon,
go ahead,
Board.
Ron. Thank you.
So one of the biggest things we did in addition to the trip was we kicked off the floodplain management program. We went ahead and got those guys on notice to proceed on February the 25th. And after that, we had our kickoff meeting on March the 1st and established the steering committee. And also after that meeting, we asked them to put together a timeline and schedule and a plan for their layout of how the series of events will occur. So they've done that as a draft form. It's really early on in the process. I don't want to really get that schedule out just yet. We'll have another steering committee on the week of March the 29th. And I'm pretty sure at that next drainage board meeting, we'll have an update of where these guys are on that. But we also met on the 8th of March as a scoping meeting to understand their strategy moving forward and starting the data collection phase, as well as paralleling the Dewberry model for the Louisiana Watershed Initiative. So we looked at the best way to move forward where we don't duplicate efforts on the modeling. So I'll leave it at that, and then we'll get an update at the next meeting, much more in detail on that. And I do want to recognize some of our staff. I have a couple of recording secretaries that are in cross-training, Ms. Monica Jupiter and Miss Leslie Daigle. So I'm proud of them for coming, get exposed to the environment of the meetings, and really proud of them for stepping up and being interested in growing. Other than that, we're wide open and growing teams and cross-training and culture change in our staff and our employees, and everybody's excited and moving forward. So other than that, I don't want to keep you guys too long. We got plenty of work going on. If you got any individual concerns or questions, please reach out, and we'll be glad to see if we can assist you one-on-one at the office. That concludes it.
10-4. We'll start with you, Mr. Robert. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Not at the time, thank you.
Mr. Turner?
None at this time.
Mr. Ojoin? Welcome back.
Thank you, and I have no further questions for anyone. Thanks.
Mr. Weisbach?
Yeah, I was just wondering, with the steering committee being formed, would it be appropriate for us to, at some point, get an update about what was talked about, kind of some direction type things? I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate to do it here every week, or just get a write-up, so kind of the people that are not
Sure.
on the steering committee give us a
Yeah, I
little
did have
update.
them put together a summary of that meeting. I can get that out to you guys. No
Okay.
problem. I'll forward it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Lawler?
Yeah, so I think when we did the master transportation plan, one of the things that we did was we had meetings with all of the council members, like in groups of 2 or 3, I think it was. Are we gonna be able to do that with the drainage plan? So everybody could have a little input early on and try to talk about just some ideas, issues, and get a little bit of knowledge about the whole thing.
I don't really see an issue with that, Councilman, but I would probably defer to the chairman and vice chair, because they will be on the committee, and then we'll consult with them about that moving forward. Just give us another meeting or two to really get everything kicked off good and rooted, and then we'll work that in as we go. I'm sure that there's a lot of parish staff on the steering committee, and they'll be open to driving that request.
Okay, because what we did last time was we had, I think, the parish president and members of the transportation department, H&TB, and then a couple people here and there, a couple councilmen here and there, just to be able to get some input and learn a little bit about it.
Chair, yeah, we just want
Yeah,
to
Mr. President?
just give a little brief recap. We didn't touch on the master plan. We touched basically on the modeling and the data part in the last steering committee. So we're just getting to get them set and going on acquiring data for the modeling. So the meeting was basically to touch base on that procedure-wise, what they needed to do, where they needed to start. So we haven't got to the master plan yet. I just wanted to quantify where we are in the process. We're just on the data part of acquiring data, pulling it all from different resources, Move Ascension, our data here, any other engineering or services that we have done in the past, what data we can get from them, and get all that information over to H&TB to hopefully save us money in them actually acquiring, going out and getting some of these structures to start the modeling process. And so that's basically what the the first meetings were about. So we haven't touched on the master plan, and that's what I just wanted to get. So I'm sure when we get to that point, we'll have more collaborative meetings with each of the councilmen in their districts and where we're going with the master plan.
Ms. Casson?
I'm satisfied if there's a future opportunity for input from the council.
Captain Nalani?
No further questions.
Mr. Mason?
Kind of off topic, but I do want to say I went to Rockford Place subdivision this weekend, and I saw that you guys had just recently dug that out. And I was over there with some friends having dinner, and I spoke to a few of the residents, and they were very proud of that work. So I just wanted to give you guys a kudos for that because they were really excited about that. So thank you.
All right. If there's not any more questions, we'll move on to agenda item 7A, approval to move forward with necessary actions to pour concrete lining along new courthouse outfall ditch from West Worthy Road to Bayou Francois.
Motion.
Second.
Second, okay. Any questions, any objections?
Wait, what's that?
Yeah.
We already had a motion and a second?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, I was,
Yeah, okay. Mr. Weisbach?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear, so what are we approving? I mean, I don't see a lot in the item report besides a lot of generalities. I mean, is this a certain dollar amount? Do we have estimates? Or, I mean, I'm not against it. I just would like to see more about what we're approving rather than just approve it.
Well, right now, Councilman, what we're looking to do is just get approval to move forward. We don't have servitude on the channel that we're proposing to work on. So before we even go try to obtain that necessary next step, we wanted to make sure the board would support us in doing that. Because then, once we gather more information on what we truly need, we'll be defining the cost and what the materials and quantities and the size of the drainage ditch will be there. So there's a lot of coordination has to happen with two major entities, the school board and the ETEL properties, that will have to donate servitude in order for the project to take place. So that's the first step. And then once we see that they will be willing to work with us on this, well, then we'll have to go a step further as defining the project and possibly getting a permit to move forward. And once we get that permit, it'll define how forward into the survey and type of data that we would need to move it forward. So this is just to move to the next step. We'll come back to you at a later date.
Okay. I guess I'm confused that, I mean, you guys couldn't do that without our approval as far as just talking to these guys about it? I'm just curious.
So, yeah, we're talking about shifting staff off a current project, so this is something that we wanted to make sure the board was willing to pursue. Obviously, we've done several concrete lining projects in the city of Gonzales. I'm sure Councilman Cagnalotti can verify that. This is something that cuts down on maintenance, conversations we've had. This particular one is right next to the walk on East Ascension, and between East Ascension and E-Tail. There's several erosion underneath the sidewalk, so at any given time, the sidewalk could cave in. But what it's going to do is eliminate any kind of obstacles of vegetation. But before we move forward and acquire right-of-way and do all these other things and have those conversations, we'd like to know from the board that you would like to pursue this instead of us shifting resources and staff over to something that y'all haven't approved. Y'all may say, no, this is something we don't want to do. So we would like to just the first introduction of that saying, yes, this is something we would like to have the thing. We would come back with cost and things, and y'all would approve that at every step. But we need that first okay to shift staff away from ongoing projects to start acquiring more information.
I mean, I don't, okay. I'm just a little bit confused about what we're approving. Because if you're pulling staff off, then there's no estimate. I mean, I guess I'd just like to see the project defined. That's just for me. And maybe I'm asking for too much. I don't know. It just seems very general. I mean, it seems like some of these things could be, if the city has line ditches, it feels like there could be some estimates. I mean, if there's right-of-ways to be had, it just feels like there could be some kind of estimate right now done without us approving, I guess. But, I mean,
everything costs time and money. I need to know from the board, this is where you want to go.
but there's no
Spend
estimate of time and money, though.
Well, I mean, if I had to run time and money and estimates and cost estimates on everything we brought, it would be a little difficult. But I'd like to know the general purpose and direction of the board is to do something, and then we could take the next step. I'm not going to go and set up meetings with ETEL without having the board's approval. This is the direction you want to go, and start talking to them about acquiring right-of-way. My time is better, or our staff's time is better spent doing other things until the board says, yes, this is where we want to go. But you'll get that information you're looking for. It's just not, I need to know this is the direction you want to go.
So I'll just make one more comment, and I won't ask any more questions. I would say at this point, I don't feel like I would have enough information to even make a decision to tell you I want it supported or not. I mean, I just don't see much there, I guess is what I'm saying. So, but maybe I'm missing the point of what's being asked as far as what right-of-way and things like that. So anyway, y'all can go ahead.
Mr. Ojo?
Thank you, Chair. We currently have the right-of-ways on this drainage servitude. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do we know who has the drainage right-of-way on this particular?
There is none.
There is none.
That is correct.
So it belongs to the two property owners. If it belongs to the two property owners, why is the parish willing to assume this cost? Why don't we have the two property owners take care of their property and their drainage?
Well, because this is one of the issues of building the new courthouse and the impacts on the subdivision south of there and the impacts on diverting that water and increasing that. We would like to do projects that help not only reduce maintenance, but also ensure flow. Because if you restrict that flow, the flash flooding issues we've had in Park Vista will continue. So this is one step that we can ensure that part of that problem is being solved. And so to ask private property owners to come up and spend money, it's not something we normally do. If we find a drainage problem, we go out and we acquire the right-of-way. This is the typical process, and then we do the project. But we can't do the project on private property, so we got to go acquire the right-of-way first. So before we go do that, we'd like the board to assist us in doing that. And look, we probably should have put up some pictures of concrete ditches that exist in the city. I don't know. This is pretty, I don't know, it's a pretty common sense, simple deal to me. I'm confused on what's the necessity of information on, I mean, I guess to have, dig a ditch or widen it, or, I'm not familiar with what you're asking for. And
may
not you,
I-
just in general for concrete lining of a ditch, but,
Mr. President, I'm not arguing with you
No, no.
on the necessity of it at all.
correct.
I truthfully, I'm not. I'm just trying to, the way this is being presented to us is approval to move forward with necessary actions to pour concrete lining. And I think what you're doing is you're asking us to put the cart before the horse. Maybe if this were to be amended, giving the administration the opportunity to enter into discussions with the property owners to establish whether right-of-ways can be obtained, and then we take that first step, I think maybe that would ease my conscience a little.
Sure.
You know, so I mean, you know, so, you know, I would move to amend the proposal to state just that we would grant the approval to move forward with conversations with the property owners to determine whether or not they're interested in providing the servitudes necessary to move forward with this project.
Mr. Chair, I'll withdraw my motion if you want to do a substitute, or amended
Okay.
motion.
All right, original motion has been withdrawn. We have a motion. I'm gonna get to you, Mr. Robert. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Mr. Robert.
I may be doing this incorrectly, but from what I'm understanding, this is not giving the administration any permission to spend any money on this concrete or to take out any contracts on it. What this is doing is saving us money in the sense of if we decide we don't want to take part in a project like this, then the engineers on our staff, the people on our staff that we're paying right now, will not have to waste their time and money, and our money on it. I believe what was being asked now isn't actually any permission other than, hey, is this something we're interested in or not? So, I mean, am I incorrect here? I mean, this is
No,
not
you're gonna
allocating
approve,
money, it's
you're
not
gonna
allocating
approve
anything.
every step
Yeah.
of the process, but we're not gonna go do an engineering and cost analysis and do all these things when we don't even have right of way. This is something I need from the board to say, yes, pursue this action. Those steps will come on a
And I
monthly
guess
basis
what I'm
to the
saying is
board.
with this
Hang
amendment,
on, one at a time.
I guess what I'm saying is with this amendment is, are we getting away from what's really going on here? Because, I mean, it's slowing down the process of getting right away. It's all part of it. I mean, what we're doing is going to get right away. I mean, I don't understand what the issue is.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lawler.
Oh, thank you. So I guess I'm a little confused too. What is the actual purpose of concreting this waterway?
Well, you're gonna do some enlargement, you're gonna stop erosion, and you're gonna reduce maintenance, and you're gonna help speed some flow, because you have restriction from vegetation.
Okay. Do we know, we talked about, I guess let's go step by step. Reduce maintenance. I mean, that seems like a cost measure. How much, we don't know how much this is gonna cost. What is the maintenance cost on this currently?
Currently, what we know is that we have a flooding problem in Park Vista, and it's due to the outfalls not letting enough water out fast enough. There is some erosion problems with the school board, and ultimately, what we would like to do is to be able to maintain and structure this outfall ditch to concrete lining it, so that we don't have to go back and maintain it, but also we're increasing the flow, as well as securing the sidewalk of the school board property to stop erosion, as well as letting more water come from when that pond fills up and it can't take any capacity. Park Vista threats to flood, and that's what we're trying to reduce with this project. We would also, after this, look to concrete even more ditches in behind subdivisions that we have to go cut by hand. That is just such a labor-intensive deal, and we would like to start looking at concrete lining those. Inside subdivisions, we'd like to look at concreting past this point up and around the courthouse, so we don't have to maintain those ditches that lead up to that pond from the outflow structure. So this is a first step. We've been doing this for the city of Gonzales for a long time. I would like to see, and I think staff would like to see, implementation of more concrete lining. This would be the first that I'm hoping in a long line of these type of projects.
I've done a lot of research on this kind of thing, not a lot, but a little bit amount. Other municipalities, in fact, many municipalities, I think Houston is one of them, is moving away from concrete lining because they find their environmental issues with it, their cost issues with it, long-term maintenance cost issues with it, and just overall, the people that live around it don't like them. So why are we going to move in a direction where it seems like the rest of the nation is moving in the opposite direction? Because there is a pollution concern here. A lot of this water is going to come from a parking lot. The pollution gets filtered through grass. And what I'm saying is there are alternative ways to do this, and I doubt we've looked at those alternative ways is one part of that. So I'll let you answer that. Why are we moving in a direction that the rest of, and many other parts of the nation are moving away from? In fact, Houston is one of them.
Well, I can't answer for all the parts of the nation. I know we got 2 letters of recommendation for the city of Gonzales right here at home, and I think that carries weight because they've seen the benefit of this concrete lining, and every place is different. I can't answer for concrete slabs that have to have been replaced because there's a lot of different type of ways to do this, and sometimes using the concrete tiles, they come up, they break apart, and they have to be replaced. We had this discussion in Harris County with those particular types. But we've had great success here. I know that, and based upon the conversations I had with the staff as well as the leadership in the city of Gonzales, and they say it works, and it's great. And I think that means a lot. It was what our people here in Ascension Parish and the city of Gonzales are saying, not what happens and problems in different parts of the country.
Okay, well, I mean, it is. But you mentioned the neighborhood that's flooding. We haven't done any engineering to figure out whether this is going to fix that problem. Would that be correct?
We have quality working on taking a look, and not only that, but also the problems in front of Fairwood subdivision.
Okay, but we don't even know if this is going to work, is what I'm saying.
Well, we know the concrete lining works because the city of Gonzales has told us it works. So there's no question there on saying that it doesn't work. So we know that works.
Well, I'm talking about this specific vision. We don't know whether that's going to solve the problem.
The engineering's been done for the pond and the outflow, and it shows the channel improvements, but yes.
Yeah, okay. I just making sure we hadn't done that yet. We also don't know what this is going to do to people downstream. We're talking about doing this all over. We have a master plan that's about to be done. I don't know if it's wise to be jumping ahead when we don't know what impact this is going to have on the New River, which we're about to do work on. It's my understanding that we also, we're trying to get some grants on the second New River project in the Goodine. It seems like we're kind of putting the cart before the horse here. We don't have any information on this. There's no idea of what the cost is going to be. There's no idea of whether or not it's going to work. Where did this idea come from?
This has been used in the city of Gonzales for years. This is not a new concept. This is not pulled from the sky. This has been done. Although I could just right around Gonzales, you see hundreds of them. Not hundreds. There's good, at least 30. They're done. There's some that are recently done. And so they work in the city of Gonzales, and this is where this one is. So it's not that they just pie from the sky. These are things that work, and we wouldn't go do engineering just to realign a ditch or widen a ditch. It just does not make sense. This is not complicated. It's something that has been done, something that works in the city of Gonzales. It's something they request from us constantly. It's just not complicated. You don't go hire a bunch of engineers to concrete line a ditch, even though we got to look at slope and some simple engineering, simple engineering to get the slope sides and to improve the bankment. But not something you go hire, and you want to get water to your major channels. You don't want to restrict it. This has nothing to do, it's just basic hydrology. It's nothing to do with a master plan. They ain't gonna say restrict water from Bayou Francois for 1,000 feet. I mean, that doesn't make sense. There's no master plan that's gonna tell you that. There's nothing to do with the master plan, zero. That would be like saying, stop all drainage projects until we have a master plan. No, we got serious issues that need to be addressed now. And we can't decide not to replace a culvert because we don't have a master plan. We have never had a master plan. We've replaced thousands of culverts. We've widened thousands of ditches. We've dug out thousands of ditches, so why would you wait for a master plan? That's something that you're gonna risk flooding people doing that.
Very good. The only other concern is, I think it was brought up before, if this is on private property, are we gonna set I mean, we talked about the school board sidewalk, that's their sidewalk to take care of. That's not ours, that's their concern. They've got a lot of money, they can handle that. Are we gonna set the precedent that when we see a drainage problem, we're gonna start taking over people's property? I mean, this is two big companies, ETEL and the school board. I think they have enough money to maintain their,
The people of Ascension pay the tax for us to do these type of projects. If the school board gives us the right of way and ETEL gives us the right of way, we should, for hopefully free, we should be able to do the project. We're gonna ask the school board for countless right of ways that exist on school board property so we can start maintaining them. Because if we don't, they're gonna flood people, and that's our job.
okay, well, I'd like to see more information, engineering on this to know that we're not doing more harm elsewhere. And also, when we're talking about cost, we don't know whether or not we're saving money here. We don't know how much this is gonna cost, if it's gonna be that much more long-term versus what it costs to have some people go dig this out. So we don't have any idea of what we're voting on, if we move too far into this. All right.
Ms. Casso?
Pretty much all the questions I had have been answered. The only thing I want to mention is that, there's a liability here anytime this parish does any work in those areas. And if we pour concrete, we better have a PE that is stamped that that's the right depth, that's the right mix, that's the right slope, all of that. So I'm quite comfortable with Mr. Ogeron's amendment that we're going to go just kind of start getting understanding if we need to do this project at all based on the desires of the landowners. But I would caution you that anytime this board approves a project, it does so with plans that can protect us from the liability if that concrete slides off into the water and blocks up the whole drainage system and floods all the houses in Park Vista. They would be able to directly come back and say, this is the parish of Ascension's responsibility. So I get where you're coming from, and I look forward to doing this project as long as it is by the book.
Absolutely.
Ms. Gagliardi?
Yeah, it is, speaking from experience, having served on the city council in Gonzales, we have done 30 or 40 of these ditch lining, concrete lining of ditches. Most of them, all of them, up until this one, I guess, were in the city. They were called street side. Well, this is an off the road. It's what we consider off-road drainage. Is that right, Ron? And we have an MOU or a CEA, whatever, with the city of Gonzales, and they pay us quite a bit of money to handle their major, bayous and major drainage canals and off-road drainage ditches and waterways. And that's our job. They pay us a considerable amount of money every year to do this. And this is just a request that came from the mayor and Alvin Broussard, their DPW director. They're concerned about flooding in that subdivision. It's in the city. They have citizens that they're concerned about. And this retention pond isn't going to hold water for so long, and then it's going to overflow into this drainage ditch. And the goal is to get it from that pond as fast as possible to Francois. And this is the way to get that done. And I've been, that sidewalk, part of it is the school board, or the entire sidewalk is the school board?
Yeah, it appears to be on the other thing, but we'll have a survey done,
Okay.
delineate that, as well as
Because-
marking the right of way with.
I think this sidewalk may have been done as a joint project between the city and the school board because it's used as a a jogging or walking path or bike path by the citizens of Gonzales. It goes around the backside of the ballpark and the rec center. So I think Councilman Ogeron made a good point, modifying the motion. And I see no problem with going forward to see what we need to do and where we stand with right-of-way, and then have the administration get back to us step by step if necessary to get this thing going. Thank you, that's all.
All right, Mr. Mason?
I think it's been covered.
Okay. Cool. And I would just like to say that I'm curious. I like to see, price wise, moving forward whenever y'all come to us with those numbers and all that stuff. I know that this probably isn't something we want to do everywhere, but in hard to reach areas, servitudes behind neighborhoods and schools, in the future this could be a good thing going forward. So I believe Mr. Robert had one more question, comment.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not going to oppose the amendment. I don't think there's anything wrong with investigating more and looking at this. My only concern is I don't want us to set a tone for the administration or for anyone that we're slowing down on drainage projects or that we've forgotten the urgency from 2016. And I think a lot of these questions and a lot of these concerns that we're having, which are all relevant, I agree, are going to be addressed throughout the process. So with that said, I do agree. I'm good with the amendment, but I feel like the more projects we do, the quicker we move on them, and the better we spend our resources. Not only is it better for the people, but it's also better at getting more of this money from the watershed initiative and all these things if we show progress of what we're doing, in addition to the master plan and everything else. And also, one other thing I did want to point out is it is coming from Francois back. So it's coming from the source toward where it's draining from. So you're not going to have any effect on the people downstream in that sense. But like I said, I'm no objection to the amendment, but I do want to still have that urgency that we need to move forward with projects full throttle. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Yeah, Mr.
Two more
Lawler.
brief questions. I want to clarify, before I clarify what the motion is, you'd mentioned projects that we're going to have to shift people from. Can we get a list of those projects to know which projects we're going to be shifting people from?
I'm not going to do all that work just to entertain you, Councilman Lawler, no.
So we're not going to do drainage projects, and you won't tell me which ones are not going to be done by moving forward with this? Then I object to this. And I would like a clarification on what the motion is.
The motion is to grant administration to move forward in acquiring or exploring to acquire right away.
Well, I mean, wait, that's a big difference. Is it acquiring or exploring to?
Exploring
Exploring.
to acquire.
I'll make an amendment to the motion that we add that the administration also tell us which projects are not going to be done, as they said, so we can do this project.
Okay.
If I may just, because I think I may have somewhat of an answer for your question. In the sense of what I'm hearing isn't saying that we're not going to do projects. It's just saying day-to-day work, not even saying you're going to take an employee off. And I just think from business standpoint, even if you use 100 or 50 of your employees to scan through this project for 20 minutes apiece, that adds up. I mean, you're not necessarily taking specific people from a project, neglecting that project completely and having them there. Because when you have so much going on, I mean, you need to have, movement of it.
Well, I believe the statements were that they were shifting people from other projects, and I'm just curious as to
Yeah,
what projects
and
aren't going to be
And
done.
if that's it, I didn't understand it that way.
Yeah.
That's all I was
I don't think it's an
understanding that.
unreasonable request to find out what projects they're shifting from.
Yeah.
Okay, there's an amendment to the motion by Councilman Lawler to also have the staff inform Drainage Commission of what projects or manpower and womanpower would be pulled from if we proceed forward. Is there a second for that motion, for that amendment to the motion? So the amendment fails for a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second it.
All right, any objection to the amendment to the motion?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, okay.
I had to think about that.
Okay. All right, Ms. Liz, we need to do a roll call. This is strictly for the amendment, not the full motion. Okay.
Commissioner Robert,
No.
Turner,
No.
Commissioner Orgeron,
Yes.
Commissioner Malonzo,
No.
Commissioner Lawler,
Yes?
Commissioner Cazzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Waggisback,
No.
Commissioner Cagnolati,
No.
Commissioner Mason,
No.
we have three.
3 yeas, 6 nays, so the amendment fails. Back to the original motion to explore the acquisition of the right-of-way from school board and I believe ETEL. Is there any objection to that? No objection? Motion passes. Moving on to item 7B. 7B, approval of cooperative endeavor agreement between Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development on the East Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage District Number 1 for roadside ditch maintenance. You want me to take this, Ron? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you can, Chair, you know all about it.
Okay.
We've been working on this a while and finally got the agreement back from the state. So,
Awesome, okay.
Supposed
Just a brief, history, last summer we had Zoom calls with our DOTD representatives for the area and statewide. So a major issue we have is we'll go in and clean hundreds or, thousands of feet of our parish servitude drainage. And a lot of times we're hampered at our ability to address roadside ditches and drainage in state servitude. In most cases, that's something we have to stop. It could take weeks or months for us to get a permit from DOTD to go back and address something that could be as little as 40 or 50 feet and all that stuff. So we had a meeting, and what the CEA does is allow us to address DOTD servitude as we feel needed to maintain and improve our parish servitude. So this is not giving us sole custody. This is just a joint venture. They're still responsible for it, but we can just address a large ditch, along Highway 431 or anything like that if we need to. So that's what this is. For a long time, we've had to tell people that there's nothing we can do because it's, DOTD right away, and this is going to give us the ability to not use that excuse anymore. Any questions or concerns? And I would let y'all know that so I reached out to Davin, and Davin was the one last summer who was able to get us all together. So I'm appreciative of that, and Ron, of course. So
Motion.
All right, we have a motion, man. I'm sorry. Motion from Councilman Robert,
Second.
second by Councilman Mason. Any questions? Any
I have-
objections?
I got it.
Okay, Mr. Ogeron, question?
And I'm introducing our new legal advisor to the fire, asking if he's had opportunity to review this CEA and if it meets with all legal standards necessary to protect the parish.
I looked at it briefly this afternoon. I had two questions. Are you being compensated for?
No, I'm sorry, I hate to cut you,
No,
but
that's
I will let y'all know they have informed us they don't have a dollar for us. We would be doing this on our own dime in the instances whenever, it's necessary.
Chairman, if you don't mind, there is one clause in there that they will give us more surplus or reclaim.
Right,
They can't
that's right.
give us funding, but, we utilize that on our levee maintenance and roads and different things when we dig them up to fill for base material. So there is that little bit of quick pro quo there, but, yeah, it is kind of a proactive approach on our behalf because it benefits our drainage. So I'll be glad, Mr. Robert, to sit down with you and look, we still have to execute this CEA. If you see any issues legally, we'll certainly take the opportunity to go back to the state if we have to, but,
Yeah, and it was just indemnification.
sure.
It just says each party shall indemnify the other. I had a question about that, but I might be able to get with the state on that.
Okay. I know Mr. Martin last year started with us on this, and I believe Mr. Parrington was the one who finished it up. if
But
you,
other than that, it looks fun.
okay.
I would recommend that we table this until we get a legal opinion that solidifies our position and our status with the CEA. I mean, it sounds great on the surface. I've read through it, and I'm fairly comfortable with it, but, I don't get to play lawyer up here. I have to play councilman. And
Right,
so
right.
I would prefer, having a legal opinion, telling us that it's satisfactory and it's a good deal for the parish at this point.
I can't tell you that they came from Mr. Parrington. He was the one who wrote it for us, who produced it for us, and he's the one who sent us the final draft, I guess about a month ago, Ron?
Yeah, he had
Okay.
reviewed it, and it came from DOTD back and forth a few times.
Right,
And,
right. Him and
went
DOT's.
over it, yeah.
They went back over language that I don't understand, but. All right, any more questions, concerns?
One, please.
Oh, Ms. Castle?
And this is just for you all to help me by refreshing my memory. It seems like we had some discussion about where on a state highway we would be willing to do this kind of work. We would do it if it was where one of our parish roads was coming into the state highway, and by not completing the turn, we did not allow for the work we were doing on our parish road to be effective.
Right.
So I am concerned, and I wonder if I did not review the legal document. I will certainly admit to that. So I don't know if we have the right to do it everywhere on a state highway, or if we just have within certain cut-throughs from a parish road to a state road. Can someone answer that for me? And I apologize. Next time I'll have read it myself.
Yeah, I believe it encompasses all of DOTD right away in Ascension Parish.
So-
If they have the right of way, then we're now able
We
to
really
access
don't
it.
know sometimes, Ms. Terrio, until we get out in the field, and sometimes that's when the pinch happens, and you're in the middle of a project, and you need to go another 500 feet. And then, we've already experienced that. That's what kind of brought this up, is the fact
I recall.
that we would do all the drainage work and not get the benefit because the last little part to the next outfall is down the state highway. So I think this would be extremely beneficial to the residents and also the department coordination between the two entities. And as we all have seen, this, I think DOTD has a whole lot less staff than we do, and I think they cover 3 parishes in this district. So it's a way to kind of work together and move projects forward. But yes, we could work anywhere within the DOTD right-of-ways if the need should occur.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, whenever we started it, the intention isn't to go, dig out, 8 miles of, Highway 73, just to help us on these short intermittent jobs. If you get to a stop sign and Black Bayou's 700 feet away, and that DOTD ditch is completely silted over, we now have the ability to make that turn without stopping.
So I like that. What I would need to know is if you will have policies and procedures in place in the drainage department that help you to make that decision, which one you're going to do. Because otherwise, we're going to be working on all the state roads. We don't have the money to do all the state drainage. So, I think you need a policy in place that says if it's within so many feet of an outfall that we need to be able to get to in order to make what we did effective, then we're going to do it. But if somebody just calls you that lives on Highway 73 that is not in that kind of situation and they want you to go dig out their culvert, I'm not sure that that's something, how much money will that cost us if we begin to clean all the state roads in this parish's ditches of their obstructions and take care of their culverts? And do we have an estimate of how much money we'd be spending of parish drainage money on state projects?
Yes, I don't think this obligates us.
Okay.
I think this gives us the ability. And I
Okay.
think it is when we're working on a project, so we don't have to pull equipment and then bring equipment back.
I get
That
it.
we can make that turn. So this doesn't obligate us to take over the entire state highway drainage maintenance. It doesn't do that. It just allows us. But go
Well,
ahead.
then, I would strongly suggest that you have policy and procedure written in place that helps you to justify that you did it in place A, and you're not going to do it in place D, because we don't want favoritism shown to members of this parish who live on a state highway or somebody that doesn't. We need to have a policy in place that we can, and bring it to us, and we will sign off on it, that this is the policy relative to the cleaning of state ditches by Ascension Parish crews.
And talking with Mr. Ellisor with DOTD, so they're still going to function as they've always had. So if we have a resident on a state highway who has a issue that is solely on that state highway, they still have their call order, their maintenance system, and all that stuff. So people, my goal isn't for people to start calling or 450-1200 number to go clean Highway 621.
Right.
That's not my intention here. Is to expand upon our maintenance program already.
And I don't want to be redundant again, but if you don't have a policy in place where you don't do that, you will be doing that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, when you do it for one person, then everybody else has the expectation that it'll be done for them. So I just caution you to do that and look forward to seeing that policy.
Okay, Ms. Lawler.
Would that be something, and I heard Mr. Ogeron's motion to table it, that how long would it take to make a policy and procedures setting forth what we're going to do? Would that be something that we should table this until we have that? Because I'd hate for us to get into that situation where we start doing some projects on state highways and all of a sudden you do it for one, we got to do it for all, and, you know, we're already running thin on drainage money. I'd hate to expand it to run us too thin.
I think we could start off, Councilman, by the way we work. The call center generates a work order. Most of the time, that's when we run into the encounter of having to get on a state highway. When that work order that was originally requested through the parish system then goes on to the state system. Seems like a simple process to write down a policy and procedure to reflect it that way. We generated off the work that was requested that was stemmed from the parish request system. And we'll have to consult with the state representatives on their behalf, but I don't think that would be too hard to come back to you guys and lay out how the workflow happens currently and incorporate that into this agreement with how we'll flow work with the state.
Would we be able to define like where we do it and where we wouldn't do it? Because I know you had talked about we'd only certain areas where we'd really need to do this, where, you know, it'd be beneficial to the parish. But like Councilwoman Cazzo was saying, well, if we have somebody calling up that lives on some state highway and says, hey, well, I want my ditch dug,
Yeah.
you know, there's nothing to stop it from somebody saying, hey, let's pull a crew and go over there. That's what we're trying to avoid, and that does happen, and we need to get away from that. So if we can
Well, I
make
think
a
that's the
policy.
intent of what you just asked for. So, I mean, I think the root source of the reason for being in the need of going on the right of way is a complaint and a work order that has A, B, C drainage problem. A is the problem on parish, B is the obstruction is the state, and C is the outfall we got to get to. So if they fit that criteria, then it probably would justify the need to go use this agreement. And so we just need to write that down.
I like that.
Okay, so I'll second the court's motion to table this until we can get that policy and procedure. It sounds like it's simple to do. We should have it by next meeting. I'll table it to the next drainage meeting. I'll second that motion to table it to the next drainage meeting so we can have those policies and procedures in place.
All right, any more questions? Mr. Robert?
Would it be as simple as, because I do agree with the policy, and I think it will help us out as councilmen talking to our different constituents through the district. Would it help to make it as simple as which percentage of people are affected, like, not on the state road, within the parish drainage? Like, if 85% of the drainage that any project helps is got to be beneficial to the parish, not the people on the state highway around it. In the sense that you have A, B, and C. You know what I mean? Any idea?
I think you're getting a little bit complex for the intent here. I mean, look.
In the
we either
sense
wanna-
that you have to have it has to help a dozen people if it's on a state highway, in the sense of numbers like that. No? Okay. I'm gonna step back from that.
Okay, so we have a motion to table it until a procedure for exactly how we execute it is produced. We have a second from Mr. Lawler. All right, I'm going to object. Is there any other objection? So I guess we need to take roll call, Ms. Liz.
Commissioner Robert,
No.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Orgeron,
Yes.
Commissioner Melanson,
No.
Commissioner Lawler,
Yes.
Commissioner Cazzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagasback,
Yes.
Commissioner Cagnolati,
Yes.
and Commissioner Mason.
No.
It passed.
All right, 6-3?
6-3.
6-3, motion passes, so we'll be waiting on policy from administration. All right, I was supposed to gavel? It's been a while since I chaired in person. Yes, a
Make
little
it
rusty.
loud.
Okay, moving on to item 7C, approval of task order number 1 with Hortman Engineering with professional surveying services for retention ponds and shadows at Manchac subdivision, an amount not to exceed $5,428.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any objection, any comment? Seeing none, motion passes. We entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Second. I believe we need to take roll call. Do we need to take roll call? Yeah. Okay. We're taking roll call to enter into executive session.
Commissioner Robert,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Orgeron,
Yes.
Commissioner Malonson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawler,
Yes.
Commissioner Cazo,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagisback,
Yes?
Commissioner Cagnolotti,
Yes.
Commissioner Mason.
Yes.
Motion passed. Hit the barricade.
Fighters. Motion to reconvene?
We have a motion, second by Councilman Cagnolati. We reconvene.
Motion to go into executive session.
Okay, I'm gonna just say one word on the Laurel Ridge levy. At this time, we're not taking any action. We have some positive things happen, and we believe this is gonna be resolved shortly, so. I have a motion from Councilman Lawler to go back into executive session. Second from Mr. Cagnolati.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Commissioner Robert,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Orgeron,
Yes.
Commissioner Melanson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawler,
Yes.
Commissioner Cazo,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagisback,
Yes.
Commissioner Cagnolati,
Yes.
Commissioner Mason.
Yes.
know the poop list.
He was trying to explain to me how this does.
I don't care.
I'm not a lawyer. Not yet.
You don't even know what the poop list is.
Nope, did it again.
Oh, yeah. Can't keep it.
All right, Chair would entertain motion to reconvene.
Motion to reconvene.
Motion,
Second.
second by Mr. Kay. Okay, Mr. Ogeron, I believe?
Yes, Chair, if it's proper at this time, following our executive session, I make a motion that we instruct Drainage District Attorney to proceed with the motion for expedited hearing in this matter, asking the court to hear this matter quickly as it affects the Public Works project.
I'll make a second.
We have a second by Mr. Lawler. Any questions, any objections? Seeing none?
Motion to adjourn.
moves. We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Cagnalotti. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Night.